Next up on the Cosmic News Network, First Contact with Joshua Pert.
Good morning, Earthlings. Good. How you doing today?
Good.
How you doing today? Welcome to First Contact Radio.
Welcome to First Contact Radio.
To talk about all these things I'm talking about is because in life, everything is energy. Every single thing that's out there.
Yo, it's First Contact with Joshua Poet. He's the man on the mic, just in case you didn't know it. Covering news from all around the globe, from the weather and space to UFOs. He'll talk politics and make you open your eyes. Conspiracy theories and government lies. They'll dig it all up and try to find the proof. Cause it's time to demand the truth. It's time.
First Contact Radio. We have
time to demand the truth. It's time.
First Contact Radio. We have
It's time to demand the truth. It's time.
First Contact Radio.
It's time to demand
First
the
Contact
truth.
Radio. We have arrived. First Contact Radio. Good morning, Earthlings. How you doing today? Welcome back to First Contact Radio. I'm glad that you could be here today for this Thursday show on July 10th. So, today we're dealing with a sun sign, Cancer, water sign, feelings, emotions, things that flow. Moon sign, making a transition between two signs. Currently, we are in Sagittarius, and we are leaving Sagittarius, making our way into the next sign over, which is Capricorn. Sagittarius is a fire sign. Capricorn is an earth sign. So we're going from the ideas all the way to the opposite end of the spectrum, which is the physical thing that is manifested from the ideas. Okay, so that comes later this evening. That transition takes place at 10:24 p.m. Prior to that, let's look at what we're dealing with over the course of today. We just had a opposition here going on between our moon sign Sagittarius and Venus is our imagination. So the truthfulness and imagination, opposite ends of the spectrum. When two things get out like there, they balance themselves when they're opposition from each other. They could be things that are similar, which is why they balance themselves out, or they could be things that are completely different. And in that difference, they find their balance that way. Either way, they're opposing. Imagination's on one side, truthfulness is on the other, and we're kind of like two ends of a teeter-totter. And we're just finding the balance between the two of those. In a couple hours from now, about 2 hours from now, we have a sextile going on between the moon sign Sagittarius and Mars. So Sagittarius, just look for keywords for each one. Sagittarius is about truth. It's the truth bringer. And we have this truth bringer going up against Mars, which is all about energy, aggression, passion. And so we've got these two together, and a nice positive energy that takes place with this sextile shows that this truthfulness that we want to express finds an outlet with this Mars energy. Okay, and that's a good thing. Well, I just want to make sure, though, that the outlet is something that is creative, because the Mars energy, when it's not creative, it can be very aggressive, warlike. However, we see this as a positive symbol between the two of them, so we see a positive way in which this truthful energy of Sagittarius gets expressed. As we move into the evening, we're going to move into that transition phase as we're going from one moon sign to the next. Here we have, during that period of time, we've got Mercury, which is all about communication, and Mercury is going to be opposing those moon signs that are there as we're making that transition. So Mercury is all about communication, and we're going to be opposing the opposite side of that spectrum, somewhere between that truthfulness and the things that we manifest into the world. Now, one thing about the Capricorn, we're going to take a further look at this. Capricorn in the tarot card is represented by the card of the Devil, which simply represents illusions. And it tells us that we need to learn to look past the physical things of the world so that we can see the deeper meaning behind them. When we get to the card, I'll show you a little bit more of what that is all about. The numerology today is a number 6. Here's how we've arrived at that number. 7 for the month, 10 for the day, 2014. So we have a 15. 1 plus 5 is 6. So our numerology for today, according to the Gregorian calendar, is a number 6. 6 is a number of harmony. 6 is a number of balance because you have 3 on one side, 3 on the other. In the tarot cards, 6 is the card of the lovers, which carries with it the Hebrew letter Zayin, which is all about discernment. It means sword. So we use our sword. Take the word sword, take the first letter S away, and you're left with word. So swords represent words we speak. The words we speak, the actions we take, it's all about air. Swords are all about air. And so that's why there's movement with it, with the words, with the actions. When we speak words, we feel the breath coming out of us. So there's air pushing forward those ideas. We have these ideas in our mind. We take them, we apply emotions to them, feelings to them, and then we express them with our breath. We express them out into the world. And when they go out into the world, they create some sort of a form. And the faster manifestation is able to happen, the more we look at those ideas as this is magic. So eventually, when we're able to take our thoughts and bring our thoughts down and instantaneously apply them into life and breathe them in and bring them forward, then we're really cooking with some magical properties. And that's something I think we all like to think that we can get to at some point. Think about something and bring it into reality. But prior to that, we really have to learn that lesson of how to still our mind. Because just imagine, if we could manifest everything that we thought about, on one hand, that would be good. When we think about something, we want to manifest it. But if we're just manifesting every single thought that comes in our head and we don't have any control of that, that wouldn't be a good thing. Because a lot of times there's things in our lives that we think about, not the kind of things we want to manifest into the world, and those aren't the kind of things we instantly want to have manifested. So we need to be able to get into our mind, look at our thoughts, control our thoughts, and that's what all of these lessons of these cards and these paths teach us, how to control our mind, how to look at our mind and be able to make it more efficient for ourselves. Okay, now we go over to the Tree of Life, and this is where we really learn those lessons. Okay, we got all the different classrooms, and as we learn the lessons of the classrooms, and as we learn the lessons of the past between the classrooms, we learn some really interesting lessons. So let me go over this again. We have the crown energy, which is the top of the Tree of Life. The crown is where you receive all of that energy that's coming in from all around. Ein Sof is one name for it, or the know thing, spirit, superconscious energy, whatever it is, it's that energy of God, the energy of life that we really don't see, and it flows down into the crown, our crown chakra, the crown of who we are, and then it manifests itself as energy that goes to learn and as focused energy that understands, both at the same time. So we're both learning and understanding simultaneously. And here we have a bridge between what we learn and what we understand, and the way that we're able to cross that bridge, bring the two things together, is our imagination. We use our imagination to help us to understand what it is we have learned. And in this particular circle right here, this classroom, the zodiac is here, because the part of the wisdom we learn is understanding the cycles of life, the cycles of nature. Or on the other side, we see the little symbol here of Saturn. So this is all about discipline. So understanding implies discipline. We have to use our discipline to discipline our imagination so that we can understand. In the same way, we use our discipline to the words and to the ideas in our mind that we want to express into the world, so we're not expressing every single thought that comes into our mind. We would find that to be very troublesome if indeed that was the case. And then once it moves down here, we've got the middle of the Tree of Life. The whole idea is we're always looking to walk the path of the middle. Okay, so if we go and we use our imagination, the Hebrew letter of this particular path, of this card of the Empress, is Daleth. It means door. When we use our imagination to help us understand things that we learned, it opens the doorway to this middle path. And this middle path is the High Priestess. This is the inner temple. And we learn to go into the inner temple of who we are to get a deeper understanding about who we are. Here we have the Emperor, which is setting things in order. And then we have the Hierophant, which is a spiritual teacher. Whenever we have energy that is created, the Emperor's job, he who sets in order, is to make sure that the things that we are going to bring into the world are the things we want to bring into the world. So the Emperor oversees. If something is not right, then the Emperor takes actions to make sure that that thing can learn properly. Sometimes it's sent back to relearn. Okay, it's connected directly to this process of wisdom, learning. The Hierophant learns lessons, but the Hierophant has its feet down here in mercy, or another way of looking at it is humility, is the Hierophant understands that when we learn things about the universe, we need to be humble. And there's some humility that is implied because we understand that the universe is much bigger than who and what we're about, and it's very humbling when we consider that. On the opposite side here, coming out of understanding, we have the Lovers. And from the things that we understand, we have to use our discrimination, our sense of discernment, to be able to really understand things. Because sometimes we have to look at something and say, this isn't part of the understanding, and you have to discern the things that are not part of what you're understanding from the things that are part of it. The Charioteer right here comes out of understanding, having learned and applied the lessons of discipline in order to understand what was learned. The Charioteer has its feet down in severity, because the Charioteer wants to take all of this energy and it wants to apply it into life, wants to express it. As the Charioteer is excited about those things. But severity here, which is Mars, you can see the Mars symbol down here. Severity can be something very good because we use that energy in a positive way. And positive way would be through our passion, through our creativity. But if it's bottled up, it can be very warlike. And therefore the Charioteer becomes a warrior who's out to fight with his body as opposed to using the mind. And so those are the difference there between how we use our energy. Also notice that the Charioteer is wearing the armor, because when we come out of the things that we understand, we hit with all kind of emotions that we have to deal with along the way of traveling through life, of how we should use those energies. As we move down the path further, we have this bridge here, which is strength, and strength is the bridge between our mercy, our humility, and our severity. This intense strength we have within us. The strength here of Leo the Lion, or the card of strength, is all about how we use our energy. It's called righteousness, or the right useness of our energy. And we're told that the right useness of our energy is to channel it through our heart first. When we channel it through our heart, everything gets colored by love, and that really makes a big difference of what we're doing in the world. And then coming out of mercy or humility, we have the hermit. The hermit understands the lessons and the importance of being humble, while at the same time the hermit also knows that humility does not mean being walked on. So the hermit has to walk back to the middle of the tree of life to find the beauty within, because the lantern that is being shined by the hermit is the lantern that is expressing the inner wisdom and the inner beauty that the hermit has attained. The inner beauty doesn't come by allowing oneself to be walked upon or being taken for granted. So the hermit has to have a degree of confidence in oneself in order to shine that light high. On the flip side of that, we have, coming out of severity, we have this card here of justice. That with severity, with all of these energies and abilities, we have to use responsibility. And this card of justice teaches us the responsibility that inherently we understand what's right and what's wrong. And if we misuse our energy, we don't need somebody outside of ourselves to tell us that. We simply have the inner judge within each one of us that can look at that and say, maybe we didn't do it right this time. Maybe we could use the energy better next time. And so in doing so, again, we have our feet in beauty because we're learning to allow that inner beauty to shine. Coming out of the side here of mercy, going down to victory, which is also the sphere of the emotions, you have the wheel of fortune, which shows us the seasons are changing, cycles are changing, the wheel is turning. So we've learned to be humble, and through that humility, we've gained a lot of emotions, because humility and emotions are really connected together. We feel something so much that we're humbled by what we feel. But then the card of death, taking us back to the middle, says that if we are so caught up in the emotions, we're not really fully as balanced as we need to be. We're out of balance. We need to get back to the heart. And so this card of death teaches us that there's a transition we have to go to. If we get so immersed in our emotions, we have to go through a death-like process in order to get back to that place of balance. But that death-like process is only a process of change, of transformation, of transforming these emotions back into something that is not quite so emotional. Because when we get deeply emotional, we can't focus so much, so we are out of balance. On the flip side here, coming out of severity, we have the hangman. The hangman is teaching us the lessons that no matter how severe, no matter what amount of energy there is in life, we want to make sure that we're looking at it properly. So the hangman teaches us the lessons of looking at things from new perspectives, to step back, to look at things different ways, because sometimes if we look at it one way, we might not get the full picture of what it's all about. So the hangman teaches us that. The hangman is Neptune, and the meaning of this mem is the suspended mind. We have to suspend our mind about the things that we think in order to understand what is really at the heart of the situation. And down here we have the mind, splendor. So we're hanging down, upside down here, looking at things differently, using our mind in a different way, and going back from the mind back to the heart, we have the path of the devil, which is illusion. When we get so caught up in our mind, the mind can play tricks on us, and therefore we can get caught up in a world of illusion. So we have to walk that path back of looking past illusion. The Hebrew letter on the card of the devil, Ayin, means eye. It means learning to look past the illusions that are out there in life, using our inner vision to be able to see. And once we do, we find there is true beauty and balance in looking past the illusions, because there are no illusions. We see the truth of what's going on. And here we have truth. Okay, the higher self right here. The card of Sagittarius. It's the card of temperance, learning to temper our emotions and our feelings and our energies. Temperance is crossing the path here of the Tower, which takes us between our emotions and our intellect. When we get out of balance between our emotions and our intellect, the Tower, preconceived ideas. We think about things that aren't necessarily real, false truths. But the higher self, or temperance, which sits on top of this, helps to balance out all of these false truths so that we stand upon a pillar of a solid foundation of who we are and what we're about. Coming out of our emotions, back to the foundation, we have the star, which is all about teaching us that if we learn to meditate, if we learn to ask the proper questions of ourself, of our subconscious mind, we go into the emotions and we learn to balance ourselves out. Because here we have 1 foot on the water and 1 foot on the land. Well, emotions are all water. So if we have 1 foot on the water, it's like having 1 foot in the emotions and the other one on the land. Conscious mind. So unconscious, conscious mind, learning to balance. On the flip side, coming out of the mind, going back to the foundation point, we have the sun, which is teaching us the ideas of responsibility and regeneration. We go out into the sun, we can get a nice suntan or we can get a sunburn. We've been around the sun long enough to understand how to use that energy properly, how to use it to regenerate ourselves or to really hurt ourselves, and that is the whole important lesson, how we're going to apply that wisdom that we already have. And when we do, we find ourselves again standing on the foundation of who we are, because we don't need somebody else telling us in life how to be responsible. We inherently know how to be responsible because we're in charge of our own responsibility. That is one of the gifts we have of free will that the Creator gave us. And then coming out of right down here, out of victory, down to the kingdom, physical world, we have the moon teaching us the lessons of faith. Sometimes if we get so caught up in our emotions and our feelings, we just have to be faithful about what's going on, and the faith that we have in ourselves and the faith that we have in the universe, that when we walk into the unknown, we're going to be okay. Because there isn't anything outside of ourselves that we can't already find inside of ourselves. And by going inside, we understand that whatever is outside is reflecting ourselves of what we are about and what we're experiencing. So that faith is very important. Coming out of the mind here on this side, we have judgment, because our minds can be very judgmental of situations. And when we're very judgmental, that takes us out of balance. So we have to learn the lesson of non-judgment. And that's what brings us back in balance. And the last one here, the world is the administrative intelligence. It's signing our name on life. And so out of the foundation, if we're truly balanced, then we find that life is a dance, and we're dancing with life. We're administrating who we are and allowing the administrative intelligence to assist us in the process of life. And as such, we are then in balance with the physical world, because we're bringing everything we want down into life. And in the physical world, you see 4 divisions here, because in the physical world, the energy comes down and is now separated out a little differently than it is in the higher realms. And one of the things throughout this tree is, even though you see 10 spheres, there's actually 40, because this whole tree of life is divided into 4 levels, and each one is an energetic level that manifests a little bit lower down into the next one. And so you have 40 different ideas here. Okay, we're going to move on from there. Let's take a look at this card. This is the moon sign we're moving into, the devil. I was telling you about this one. Nothing to be afraid of about this card, because it all represents looking through illusion. You got 2 figures here, just like on the card of the lovers. And instead of having the people free, they're chained, and they're chained to this character here. In the card of the lovers, you have an angel. Here we have a pentagram upside down. Pentagram simply represents man. If you think of the head, 2 arms and 2 legs. When the head is pointed upwards, it signifies the energy is coming down through our crown chakra, and we're utilizing it in a proper way. This way, if you imagine the energy coming straight down, and if this is a person, where's the energy going through? It's going through the backside first. Ass backwards. That's all it is. It's just a misuse of the energy, because instead of the energy coming into the higher spiritual channel first, it's going into the lower root chakra. And in there is the illusion, because then if it's coming through the root chakra, we think that everything in the world is about the physical things, and we get caught up in that illusion. It says, to this key of grotesque and terrible aspect is attributed mirth. The devil is that horrible character of exoteric dogmaticism which is so ridiculous to an enlightened person. But deeper than this figure represents the delusion of outward appearance, key 15 is the opposite of key 6. Hence it shows what happens to us when we fail to use our faculty of discrimination. The ancients declared that the devil is God inverted. This refers to the conception of matter as opposed to spirit. though the truth is that both are aspects of the one thing, as is so graphically symbolized by the interlaced black and white triangles familiar to every student of occultism. The black background is a symbol of darkness and ignorance. The inverted pentagram on the brow of the devil symbolizes mental inversion, since it is a sign of man in reverse position. Thus it symbolizes falsehood and delusion. The symbol at the navel of the devil is that of Mercury. The pedestal upon which he sits is the half cube, symbolizing an imperfect understanding of the physical world, which is represented by a cube. The two figures are personifications of the self-consciousness and the subconscious mind, and their horns and hoofs indicate the delusion bestializes human consciousness. The chain that holds them to the block of delusion represents bondage, which is attributed to key 15. And here we have Ayin, the Hebrew letter, and I told you it means I, learning to look past illusions, and that's what all of this is about. Okay? Physical world is a great thing. A lot of things in this physical world to experience, but the physical world is not the be-all, end-all of everything, and if we get caught up and believe it is, then we are not fully understanding. We're at 95% of the way to the full moon. We'll be there in just a couple of days. If we look up at the sky tonight, it tells us Vega is the brightest star, very high in the east these evenings. The brightest to the lower left is Deneb. Further to Vega's lower right is Altair, and these make up the big summer triangle, so we're going to be seeing that throughout the summertime. On the Mayan Oracle, today's a 6-tone day. It's called the rhythmic tone. Today's a Skywalker, guided by the Skywalker. The World Bridger, lesson of life and death, is our like-minded energy today, whereas the challenge is all about night, our subconscious mind, learning to bring that into life, to understand what that is about, what it's telling us. Our hidden power is the star, our ability to shine bright. And the phrase for today is I organize in order to explore balancing wakefulness. I seal the output of space with the rhythmic tone of equality. I am guided by my own power doubled. Space weather solar wind is 405.0 kilometers per second. We do have planetary K index between 1 and 3. We're still quiet. Coronal holes have seemed to smooth out a little bit. Today we might be feeling some of the effect from the sun over the last couple days. M-class flare possibilities dropped down now from 75 yesterday to 70 today, and we're back down to 15% from 20 for the X-class. And we could see things are really dropping down. Still have a 20% minor activity in the higher latitudes. And over on the Jewish calendar, today is a 12 Tammuz, is the name of today. Daily thought is dual peace. Working from above and staying above. Any transformation you effect does not last, yet while it is there, it is all-consuming. While it is there, everything experiences a whole new state of being. Working from within, the transformation is self-sustaining, but only skin-deep. The beast within remains a beast, just slightly more enlightened. The world remains a world, only a brighter world. Ultimately, both approaches are needed. We can teach and provide knowledge, yet preserve a sense of transcendent and unknowable. We can work with the world on its own terms, but we must show that it is only a world. When a higher context, it is nothing at all. Until eventually the beast and the world will become the devices through which an unknowable God can be known. Okay? That is our daily thought for today. And that gets us started. I know it was a little bit longer of an intro than usual, but I wanted to give a good, thorough discussion of the Tree of Life. Really understand that symbol. It will really help you to understand a lot of things, because you will find there's so much information packed in there. Astrology, tarot, numerology, Kabbalistic studies, colors, sounds. You can find I Ching references there, on and on and on. It's just one of the most powerful symbols that can teach you for the rest of your life, and you can always look at it and learn more from it. So keep using that link. I think you'll find it very helpful. All right, UFO News is up next. Let's get to it.
This is the UFO News with Joshua Poet.
All right, Dirk. Thank you very much. First story today takes us to Ontario, Canada. Let's get over there. 3 glowing UFOs during sunset over Ontario. This was on July 1st. All right, there's our objects in question, very faint in the sky. These glowing orbs were caught right after sunset in Ontario this week. The lights all change color together at the same time, which tells us they are all linked in some way. Fantastic capture and during the day. Makes this a rare sighting. As I have said before, if you want to see a UFO, wait until sunset and sit there for an hour. The chances are about 5% that you will see one, unless you're not focused on the area it is, and you may possibly overlook it entirely. Bring a camera. All right, and if we take a look here at what was captured, it's a 1 minute and 19-second video, obviously going to show the same images that you just saw. We're looking right in this area. Zip ahead. Okay, can you see them? They're very, very faint. Right there's one. Okay, you see that one? There's another one right there. When you enlarge the screen, you'll certainly see it better. I'm going to move on. Next one, daytime UFO over Milan, Italy, July 6th. That's what we're looking at. Very fascinating looking. Looks like a series of stars, doesn't it? Another interesting footage was recorded by Italian UFO contactee Antonio Orsi. This was recorded over Milan, the second most populous city in Italy, on Sunday, July 6th. Okay, the video itself is 9 minutes and 30 seconds. There's our object in question. That is Very cool looking light one. I don't think I've seen one quite like that. That is definitely a light ship, huh? Or light ships. If we were to see, how many do you think are here? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Looks like there's at least a dozen of them there, huh? Okay, moving on. Over Florida, July 9th, yesterday. There's our object in question. The object was caught yesterday and was seen shooting straight up out of our atmosphere. This is not a rocket. I do not see any rocket tests on the NASA chart, and looks to be a UFO. This thing went straight up, stopped, then continued straight up, curved in an angle. Okay, very interesting. Video itself, 2 minutes 18 seconds. Pretty fascinating what we see when we look up in the sky, huh? Okay, next we're going over to Missouri. Couple says UFO is bigger than a house. Missouri witness in Joplin reported watching a silent boxy object bigger than a house, traveling about 300 feet off the ground, about 9:15 p.m. on July 8, 2014. Husband and wife were reporting witnesses were traveling home when they noticed a man in the street trying to flag them down, pointing to the sky. He was walking his dog, who was barking wildly at the object and jumping high into the air. Witness said it approached from the northeast. As we watched, it crossed directly overhead. It looked to be about 300 feet off the ground. It was white color in appearance, seemed to be illuminated by a yellowish light coming from within. It was as big or bigger than a house and was completely silent. Okay. The link is available with all the others at firstcontactradio.com. Here we have a old painting, old Romanian painting, possible UFO depiction is discovered. Ah, look at this. Looks like a big object coming out of the clouds, doesn't it? Now, where do you think their point of reference would have come from? Back at the time when this painting was discovered, I don't believe we had flying technology at that point in time. So for someone to see this and paint this, well, they saw and imagined it somewhere. The 14th century church in Romania is apparently depicting a UFO through its wall painting. This was what an Israel-based UFO research organization has reported recently. The object in the painting is similar to objects seen in coins and paintings ranging from 4th century to 17th century. One UFO investigator believes that the objects in the images may have an explanation not coming from Earth. Okay. Over at UFO Digest, we have an article here by AJ, Reptilians and Other Unmentionables. John Carpenter obtained a Bachelor of Arts degree in psychology from DePaul University in Greencastle, Indiana, and a master's degree in social work from Washington University, St. Louis, Missouri. He had advanced training in clinical hypnosis in order to practice as a psychiatric therapist and hypnotherapist branch in Missouri. For over 32 years, he has counseled people in southwest Missouri for every kind of emotional pattern problem imaginable. His lifelong curiosity in UFOs led to his volunteering his services for over 150 cases of possible UFO abduction. Using clever interviewing and through hypnotic investigation, he has collected amazing patterns of data which clearly depict a consistent and coherent scenario of extraterrestrial contact. He presented 6 papers at the prestigious MIT Abduction Study Conference in Boston in 1992. His published papers have brought him international recognition and speaking invitations on 5 continents. Okay, and he says any individual who enters the field of research brings with him a set of beliefs with boundaries for acceptance or rejection. This is naturally based on the individual's level of comfort and openness with accepting any of the weird information dumped into his naive hands. UFO researchers have been fairly willing to accept a generous portion of this bizarre data, but always retain a personal, often private perspective of the amount of weird stuff they are willing to accept as credible. I am constantly amused at the notion that a researcher of incredible abductions by aliens in UFOs could label anything too weird, yet as human beings, it's our nature to draw the line. Some are based on their need to provide a sense of comfort, order in order to the chaotic and bizarre influx of strange information. It seems to take a great deal of personal maturity. As we go through, he's going to get into the talks about the different types of extraterrestrials, the blondes, the Nordics. He gets in talking about the reptilians. We've heard this. It's a good article. but I'm going to leave it for you to read. And this last one here says SETI is redoubling its efforts with 2 new projects. In a recent announcement, SETI astronomers unveiled 2 new projects intending to find signals of extraterrestrial intelligence within our universe. Since the dawn of mass communication, humans have steadily pumped signals of our technological prowess and creative potential throughout the galaxy. In fact, shows like I Love Lucy and Orson Welles' War of the Worlds radio broadcast have been propagating throughout our galaxy long enough to have reached thousands of stars. And while we've been transmitting multi-channel signals for the better part of a century, we've yet to hear from another form of intelligent life hidden among the stars. Though it's likely that it's still to be quite some time before we hear from any ETs out there, the people at the Search for Extraterrestrial Intelligence have launched 2 new programs to offer humanity a chance at better finding any species that commands advanced technology. First is a new project, SETI's panochromatic scheme, using multiple telescopes that will scan through a variety of wavelengths. The panochromatic project will focus its gaze on 30 stars that lay within 16 light years of our sun. The second project, SETI will also use a wide array of telescopes to eavesdrop in any directionless communications that may be traveling between those same 30 stars. Though SETI astronomers aren't optimistic that ET intelligence will be located by the new project, they're undaunted in their search and admit that even no detection is critical for their project. Okay, so at least SETI seems to be getting closer. Now they're looking in our universe, but SETI, there are sightings that take place up by the sun and outside of our planet. I feel pretty certain that if you focused your direction closer to our planet, you might actually find the signs of extraterrestrial life you're looking for, because they're all around us. So bring your look in a little closer. You don't have to look so far out in the universe, because the UFO sightings are showing us that they're right here in our own backyard. Okay, that is our UFO news. I'm going to jump away just for a moment, and I'll be right back.
Come into our circle, Great Spirit. Fill our souls with peace.
All right, let's continue on. So the first thing I brought up for you here is a link. I think this will be an invaluable link for you. It is filled with all sorts of books that you can download. It's called the Law of One Library. Law of One Library. To read the publication, flip book style, click on the underlined title. Well, anyway, let me get to this here. What we have here is a whole index of books. Check it out. All these type of books, tells you who the author is, and then you just click on the little download link for the PDF, and you got tons of books. And Drundalo Melchizedek, we have Paramasha Yogananda, Fred Wolf, you have J.J. Hurtak, Zechariah Sitchin. I mean, on and on. It's quite a list of books that are here. And so if you're looking to add to your collection of esoteric material, this is definitely a great source. And if you go up here, it links you to L through Z, and you can see a whole another long list of links. So check that out. Go through the links. I think you'll find it to be very useful to you. What I want to do today for a little bit is I want to read from the book Bringers of the Dawn, Barbara Marciniak, talking about the Pleaidians. This is one of her first books. I think it might have been her first book. I've already read through part of chapter 1, so I'm going to get into the beginning of chapter 2. Chapter 2 on Prime Creator's Journey. Humanity is an experiment. Humanity has been designed as just about everything else that exists within creation. Prime Creator began experimenting with creation a long time ago in the universe for the purpose of greater self-exploration, self-gratification, and self-expression. Prime Creator brought energies and essences of life extensions onto itself into the universe and endowed those extensions with the gifts that it had. It gave willingly and freely of its capabilities. There are many other universes and many other ways of designing universes, This particular one was designed as a free will zone in which all would be allowed. Prime Creator said to these extensions of itself, "Go out and create and bring all things back to me." This was quite a simple assignment, was it not? In other words, Prime Creator was saying, "I'm going to gift you of myself. You go out and gift yourselves freely so that all you create in the universe can understand its essence as my identity." These extensions of Prime Creator, which we will call Creator Gods, went out and began to experiment with Prime Creator's energy as it existed within themselves. They began to create their own hierarchy, which in turn created other hierarchies. Each succeeding hierarchy created another hierarchy to endow with its own essence and to assist in the development of its universe. Eventually, in one of the galactic systems, a plan came together to design Earth as an intergalactic exchange center of information. It was an incredible plan. Earth was a beautiful place looked on the fringes of one of the galactic systems and easily reached from the other galaxies. It was close to many way portals, the highway that exists for energies to travel throughout space. There was much scurrying and shuffling to create individual representation from all of the galaxies here upon the planet. Some of the Creator Gods were master geneticists. They were able, through their hierarchies, to tie molecules together, encoded molecules of identity, frequency, and electrical charge to create life. Many sentient civilizations gave of their DNA to have representation of their coding upon this planet. The master geneticists then designed various species, some human, some animal, by playing with varieties of DNA that the sentient civilizations contribute to make Earth into this exchange center of information, this light center, this living library. The plan for Earth was a grand one. The original planners of Earth were members of the family of light, beings who worked for and were associated with an aspect of consciousness called light. Light is information. The family of light is associated with an aspect of light. Let me see. I got it all here. The family of light created the information center that they had conceived of, and they designed a place where galaxies would contribute their information and where all would be able to participate and share their specific knowledge. Earth was a cosmic library, a place where incredible beauty that experimented with how information could be stored through the frequencies and through the genetic process. Outside the structure of time, 100,000 years can pass in what may be a year within the structure of time as you know it. These Creator Gods did not exist in time as you know it. A few 100,000 years or a million years was nothing to them. Different energies were brought into existence. They were species of humans on Earth perhaps 500,000 years ago who developed very highly evolved civilizations. We're not speaking of the civilization that you call Lemuria or Atlantis. To us, these civilizations are modern. We are talking about civilizations that are ancient civilizations that are buried under some of the ice caps in the far southern continent of Antarctica. The project of the living library on Earth was eventually fought over. It looked enticing enough to be minded by some. During Earth's early history, there were wars in space for ownership of this planet. Have you ever wondered who owns Earth? It's a prime hunk of real estate. Do you think it would go ownerless in space? Skirmishes took place and Earth became a place of duality. Certain Creator Gods who had the right to do whatever they wanted to do because Earth is a free will zone, came back in and took over. We call this raiding the Earth. It was like corporate raiding on Wall Street. These Creator Gods raided Earth approximately 300,000 years ago, the time period, historically speaking, that you would call the beginning of hum in civilization. This is merely the time period that you in the present day are taught was the beginning of civilization. In actuality, it was only the beginning of the latter phase, the phase of modern humanity. When the skirmish occurred, a certain group of entities fought in space and won the territory of Earth. The new owners did not want the native Earth species, the humans, to be informed of what took place. Uninformed, the species would be easier to control. This is why the light is information and darkness is lack of information. These entities beat out light and Earth became the territory. It gives you a new idea of light, does it not? There was great radioactivity and a nuclear action, and much of the Earth was rent asunder. The original species, human creation, experienced great destruction and was scattered. These new Creator Gods, who were the new owners, were also the master geneticists. They understood how to create life, and they wanted this territory for their own reasons. Territories are created and held by certain energies for many reasons, one of which is that there is consciousness within all things. Consciousness communicates continuously. Consciousness vibrates and can be led to vibrate at certain electromagnetic frequencies. Electromagnetic energies of consciousness can be influenced to vibrate in a certain way to create a source of food. Just as applies, apples can be prepared and eaten in a variety of ways. Consciousness can be prepared and ingested in a variety of ways. Okay, there's a lot more to this book. There's a whole lot more to this book. 128 pages is the length of this book, but check it out. It's very, very fascinating, as you understand, and this really helps to explain what's going on. Because the Pleaidians, and I know there are many here who understand who the Pleaidians are, because you understand that you come from the Pleiadian race, that you've been part of their culture for some time, and now you're down here on Earth, along with many, many others who are here to assist the planet at this time. So as you read through this, it will certainly resonate with you. You'll begin to feel as if you already understand this information. So check out this book, check out the other ones, check out the links at that page, and you'll find some really good information I think you're going to like a lot. All right, let's jump over to In 5D. Here's an article called The 9 Orders of Angelic Beings. 9 Orders of Angelic Beings. All 3 major religions of the Western world, Christianity, Judaism, and Islam, as well as virtually all of the other world systems of religious belief, include celestials in their cosmologies. Their scriptures all contain references to angelic interventions. Angels, like people, belong to families or clans. Many names have been given to them, but in the opinion of a number of angel historians, the most familiar can be arranged in 3 categories or spheres, starting at the top with those closest to God and moving down to those who are connected to the physical world. The word angel itself is used both as a generic term to refer to heavenly beings and as a specific term to refer to members of the 3rd sphere, those closest to the physical. So too, the word archangel is often used as a generic term to refer to all the high orders of heavenly beings, although they're in fact but one of the higher orders. According to Abby Grail, there are 4 orders within the heavenly hosts that particularly concern us now: angels, archangels, principalities, and thrones. When it looks like the higher and lower echelon, it's more accurate to visualize all these orders to get a great circle, with the highest and lowest holding hands. For example, seraphim, who appear to be the closest to the Creator, also serve the God in us. So here are these hierarchies. These are 9 orders of them. We have 3 spheres. First sphere, it's called the angels, who serve as the heavenly counselors. We have the seraphim, the cherubim, and the thrones. We've heard of all of these types of angels, right? Then we get into the second sphere, these who are working as heavenly governors. We have the dominions, the virtues, and the powers. And finally, the third sphere, we have the angels who function as heavenly messengers, which are the principalities, the archangels, and the angels. So we have different groups of them. We don't all classify them in the same category because they all have different functions of what they're about. We have the seraphim, of the highest order, of the highest hierarchy. These celestial beings are said to surround the throne of God. And the cherubim, beyond the thrones are the cherubim. These are the guardians of light. And the stars, remote from your plane of reality, still their light touches our lives, the divine light that they filtered down from heaven. Thrones, the first order of the third sphere is the thrones. They are the companion angels of the planets. The dominions, which is in the second range, are the heavenly angels who govern the activities of all angel groups lower than they are. The virtues, beyond the power of other groups of beings, the virtues, they are of particular importance to you now because they are able to beam out massive levels of divine energy. The powers, the first orders of the second sphere, are those beings that have been known as the powers. They are the bearers of the conscience of all humanity, the keepers of your collective history. And then the last 3 in the last group here, we have the archangels, are the principalities. These are the guardian angels of all large groups, from cities and nations to recent human creations, such as multinational corporations. The archangels, beyond the angels, are beings that are used to be calling the archangels, but we suggest you call them overlighting angels, since they tend to the larger arenas of human endeavor. And finally, the angels that you're most familiar with are those in the last order. They are the ones who are closest to humanity, the ones most concerned with human affairs. Within this category of angels, there are many different kinds with different functions. The ones that you know the best are the guardian angels. Okay. And then here, the last note is any archangel whose name ends in L originated from the Elohim. For example, Michael, Gabriel, etc. And in translation, the word Elohim represents God. Gods, excuse me, plural. Right? And you got a video down here, adds more to the story. Jordan Maxwell, 1 hour and 26 minutes in length. If you haven't heard about Jordan Maxwell, which I'm pretty certain you have because I've talked about him on the show from time to time, he's got a lot of great information on this particular subject of esoteric philosophy. All right, and that brings us to our channeled message for today, which today comes to us from the Arcturian group. The Arcturian group. Let's check it out.
The Arcturian Group, July 6, 2014, by Marilyn Raphael. Website, onenessofall.com. Dear ones, we come again to greet you with words of love and encouragement, for we understand how difficult the world has become for so many. Indeed, things really are proceeding as they should, so try not to get distracted by the images you see through an understanding that images represent the third-dimensional consciousness in manifestation. This understanding was Buddha's enlightenment experience. He then tried to teach others, but most were unable to fully comprehend the idea and believed that since the whole world was an illusion, it was okay to ignore the suffering of others. The world is real. It is the false interpretations of duality and separation consciousness that constitute illusion. When you give illusions your concern, thought, worry, etc., you empower them with your energy. There is only one power, and that one is real, forever, and held in place by divine law. Mankind is beginning to recognize this and see things for what they are, interpreting from a state of higher awareness. God never formed itself as power struggles, wars, hatred, disease, or any of the negative situations manifesting now. These things are mind interpretations based in a world consciousness of duality and separation. Love is the connection and interaction between the many within the one, but this interaction becomes severely distorted when beliefs of separateness are held in a belief system. Error can never become the truth, no matter how many may believe it. You can say over and over that 2 times 2 equals 5, and the whole world may agree, but that will never make it true, and as long as you continue to believe it, your personal checkbook will be off. Much of what you are now witnessing in the world as increased violence is the effect of higher frequency energies shining into corners of long-standing shadows, making it appear as though the world is becoming ever more violent and dense, but which in reality is illuminating that which needs to be looked at and changed. Every time you silently acknowledge truth, even while witnessing discord, you are doing the work of helping dissolve obsolete energies from universal human consciousness. Your job is to know the truth, the spiritual reality behind the image, about everything you see, hear, taste, touch, and smell. We have stated this many times, but we repeat, this is light work. This is how you live as light workers, by not entering into and giving the illusions of sense more reality and power and then trying to fix them. This does not mean that you make the mistake many have made of sitting back and blindly saying, "Oh, it is all illusion, I need do nothing." This means you take whatever human footsteps you are guided to take, but only after realizing that appearances have no law or reality to support them. You will find that you become somewhat detached to many issues that in the past deeply affected you, because now your energy no longer resonates with them. We would like to talk about freedom, which is the word most often used as an excuse to kill and be killed in war. Freedom is your divine birthright. Who could never not be free in reality, for who could imprison God? As you learn who and what you are, you will come into the awareness that you are and always have been free. Even if you sit in a prison cell, you can learn to be free within yourself, and will find that as these deeper truths become your state of consciousness, your freedom will manifest in an outer way. Freedom is a state of consciousness, and can never be attained through war, power struggle, or the destruction of others. Freedom is already embodied within you, and the belief that you must attain it regardless of the consequences to others who are actually yourselves in different form, all are made of the same stuff, is the height of the duality and separation belief system and is being kept alive by those who stand to profit from it. It is only the ignorance of an unevolved state of consciousness that has for eons led mankind to seek outside of themselves for that which is already within. You are evolved enough to move into new and higher ways of understanding and experiencing freedom. This is the lesson. Truth must be realized and lived if mankind is to evolve into and then manifest higher ways of living. The first step is to stop giving power to anything or anyone, for the only power there is within you. Seeming powers are the result of beliefs held in the universal human mind, the one mind distorted by beliefs of duality and separation. This may be difficult for some to swallow, but every individual at a certain phase of their evolutionary journey begins to not care what the world presents as power because they have attained the realization that there is only one power. As you live and move and have your being in this awareness, you experience an inner freedom even if someone is trying to keep you in some form of bondage. You see, as with all things, the inner state of consciousness manifests as utter freedom is, always has been, and always will be yours, but the world has not known this and has thus struggled to attain it outwardly. Those who find themselves in situations they themselves have created which are not easily gotten out of, may find nothing seems to change even as they begin to realize that freedom is within. If this is your situation, do not give up in frustration, but instead understand that an apparent absence of physical, emotional, or mental freedom usually involves some karmic lesson specifically chosen by an individual for learning and evolution. As the lesson needed is learned and moved beyond, the reality, freedom, must manifest. This does not mean you cannot take human footsteps, but means that you must be very honest as to whether or not you are running away from a situation, or have evolved beyond needing it. Know that certain actions appropriate for the unevolved soul may not be right for an evolved one. Always trust your intuition. There is a popular statement: freedom isn't free. Well, we beg to differ. Freedom is free when recognized and claimed. Wars are manufactured by those who stand to profit from them. Never forget that. All are within the one. You are the person you war against, for there is only one individualized as the many, and it can never be otherwise. Take these truths into your heart and ponder them, dear ones, for the energies of war and the profiteering from it in the name of freedom must dissolve into the nothingness that it is as mankind awakens. We are the Arcturian group.
All right, very good message. Important what was said there, you know. We're living in a world, there's lots of changes taking place. Lots of changes taking place each and every day. There's things that we would like to have different in life, ideals that we would like to have. But in order to get to some of these ideals, there needs to be a consciousness shift. Because just to say we want to live in a world without war is great, and it's certainly something that we would all strive towards, but there's a lot of individuals upon this planet who haven't raised their consciousness past that warlike level. And so to get to that point is going to be a challenge. So if we change the consciousness of these ideas, then we can reach some of these ideals that we have in mind. And so I think that's very important for all of us just to be aware of. The process of change that takes place just requires a continual diligence of those who understand the change that needs to be, and just know that eventually everyone will catch up. Some people will be a little slower than others, but nonetheless, if we keep putting out the positive energy, everyone will catch up and get on the same page. All right, that brings us to our meditation for today. So go ahead and close your eyes. Take a deep breath and exhale. Take a deep breath again and exhale. Imagine that you are seated out in an auditorium, and it is a large auditorium, and it is filled with more people than you could possibly imagine. Millions of people in this huge, huge auditorium. And as you are there amongst all of these people and individuals, you get a sense of what the consciousness is of the group. And you find that there are those who are thinking very positively about what is going on in the world. and focused on love and all of the great things that we need to be focused on. And there are those who are very negative and doubtful and uncertain. And so we just simply take a moment to send positivity to those individuals. We imagine the idea of an elevator rising up higher. And imagine this elevator as it rises up higher is the consciousness. And as we envision this idea, and we put this idea out into the collective consciousness of all that you are experiencing, you find that those who had the doubts and the fears start to change because something has changed in their consciousness. And as people start to raise their consciousness, suddenly these ideals about what we have and about what we want in life change, and we realize that they are possible. And as we continue to raise our consciousness, we start to understand the blockages that were put in our way. Blockages in forms of lies, mistruths, stories put out of fear, rumors, on and on. And we realize that these blockages are only that. They cannot stop us. They can only get in the way temporarily until we realize that they are there. And once they are, we just make a change. We rise above them, move around them. So we see everybody in this audience, these millions of people that we are experiencing, raising their consciousness and moving forward. And as we move forward, we see a change. For we no longer put in power the lesser of two evils. We find the best, the cream of the crop, to help lead us. We no longer support the liars because we understand that they are taking us the wrong way. We support the truth. And with these higher ideals, we come to appreciate more the concepts of love and positivity and truthfulness and passion. And as we continue to exemplify all of these higher ideals, we find ourselves becoming stronger, more connected, and more compassionate with each and every one, because we realize that we are all on a journey together. So just imagine yourself now with all the people you can imagine in the world on one big boat, on a journey together. A journey across the ocean, and as everybody gets on the same page, the boat smoothly sails across the ocean to its destination. So we just imagine ourselves, all of us, working together in unity and harmony as individuals that are adding their positive energy to a great mix. So let's imagine a world of positivity, where every soul upon the planet is raising their consciousness to make this world a better place. Not because anyone is telling them, but because they know it is the right thing to do. Let's imagine a world where everyone is allowing that God force to flow through them into the world, to express itself as it needs to express itself. And finally, let's imagine ourselves happy with the world, with the love, with the positivity, and all the other good things that are available to us. And with all this happiness and all this good stuff, let's just give thanks to the universe. Give some appreciation back, that we appreciate that which fills us with so much wonderful energy. For our appreciation helps it to grow, to appreciate, to become more. So let our subconscious mind continue on this journey of appreciation. And let's bring our conscious mind back to the present moment on the count of 3. 3, coming back to the present moment filled with faith. 2, coming back to this present moment filled with understanding. And 1, coming back to this present moment happy, healthy, and whole. Happy, healthy, and whole. Take another deep breath. Exhale and open your eyes. I have a thought for today. As we leave the show, I succeed with ease. It's our affirmation that's up here today. So just go through life. Imagine the easiness of life and the success that comes when you get into that place of ease. That's it for the show today, my friends. Thank you so much for being here. I'll be back tomorrow with more news and information. Have an awesome day. Love you. Keep loving each other. Talk to you soon. Peace. I'm out of here.